So today we're doing a full face of drugstore makeup only, and I'm super excited to be sharing this with you. This is the look that I came up with. I'm really digging it. I love it so much. Some things in this video are things that I've never used before, so it's going to be kind of a first impressions, and then other things I've used many times before and I love. So if you want to see how I created this look, then just keep watching. Okay, so I've already washed my face with a cleanser and I've exfoliated, and then I also added some facial oil and a moisturizer. So since my skin is still soaking all that up, before I do my eyebrows, I'm just going to apply a little bit of powder on them. That way the product sticks on my skin a little bit better. So for that, I'm just going to be using the Sonia Kashuk powder in medium. You can use literally any powder that you want. This is just the one I have on hand. Doesn't really matter, you're not going to see this or anything like that. It's just for the purpose of kind of setting that area so there's not all that oil and moisturizer kind of sitting right there, so that way my product can kind of glide onto my skin a little bit easier. I'm just using like a small little eyeshadow brush. I want to use some soap in my brows today just to kind of help them look a little bit fluffier, and it's also a lot easier to fill in your eyebrows once there is soap on there. And I'm just gonna run that through my brows. See how much like fuller and fluffier they look with that on. Next, I'm going in with my Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Kit in the color Ash Brown. I'm gonna be taking the darker color on the outside ends of my eyebrows and then a little bit on the underneath part. And then I'm going to be using this ashy brown in the front area of my brow. So I want to start right over here because that's kind of where my sparse area begins. I'm not overloading my brush. I'm taking a little bit of product at a time and just making small strokes, blending that into the hair, making sure that you go all the way to the tail end. So once I've filled in the tail end and the arch area, I'm just going to be taking this light color right over here and blending that through the front area of my brow. I'm now just taking a spoolie and just kind of blending everything in. Now I like to apply my gel afterwards, a little bit later into my makeup routine, just because I feel like once I put my foundation on and stuff, sometimes it can kind of cover up a little bit of the brow that I worked on. So this way I can just touch it up if I need to and then apply the gel afterwards as well. I've already applied moisturizer and oil and all of that, like I said. So I'm going to move on to primer. So for primer, I'm going to be going in with one of my favorites. This is the Angel Veil by NYX. And I just need a little tiny bit of this. About this much. And with this primer, I really like to kind of push it into like where I get my fine lines, or if I have any like textural issues. Just kind of just around my nose area and around my mouth, and a little bit kind of on my forehead as well. I'm also going to be going in with this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy Face Primer. And this I'm going to be keeping kind of on the outside of my face, just the perimeter. The only reason I don't like to put this kind of in my T-zone area is I find like throughout the day it starts to kind of break up my makeup a little bit in this area. So for that reason, I'm just keeping this kind of in the areas where I don't have much of a problem with that. And I just want a little extra luminosity. For foundation today, I'm actually going to be trying a brand new one that I just picked up. This is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in the color Desert Beige. Just looks like this. I've heard really good things about this foundation. I've just never really used it. So we'll see if this color is a good match. I think it should be. It looks really good on camera, but in real life, to be honest, it looks a little red. And I have a very golden undertone. So for me, kind of like more yellowy golden tones look better, but I think we'll be able to make it work. It's okay. Okay, so that's what one thin layer looks like. I think that looks really nice. Just trying to blend that into my neck because like I said, it is just a little bit too red for my skin tone. I do like a little thing, something a little bit more on the golden side, but I'm gonna add just one more thin layer. It has a horrific smell. It smells kind of like paint, like just not something you really want to put on your face. I generally do not like scented things, especially if it has kind of a sweet smell. I don't mind if it's a little bit scented, or if it's like a fresh smell, then I do like that, but in this scenario, I kind of wish that they would have scented it. Because that would have been better than, ugh, how bad that smells. So I guess if you're like really sensitive to scents and stuff, I don't know if you'd really like this product. It does look really nice though, I gotta say. And it's called Photo Focus, and it's looking really good on camera, so definitely think that it'll be a good foundation for those of you who really like to take pictures and all of that. I gotta say, it looks really nice. It looks like skin. Here's kind of a close-up. Looks really nice around my nose, which sometimes right over here, foundation can look a little bit collected right there, but so far so good. It's very matte. Even with the dewy primer underneath, it still looks very matte, but I like it. It looks really nice. So honestly, I did pick up two of their Photo Focus concealers as well. I picked up the shade Medium Peach, and then I picked up this color Dark Cocoa. I think I didn't like it because it had a very like dry matte finish to it, and I already have very dry skin, especially around my eye area. It's you know, quite dry there, and I'm pretty picky about concealers in that area because of that reason, because they always look a little cakey or kind of break up in that area throughout the day, and it just gets really funky over there. So it might have actually even been just like the color combination too. It was just very, I don't know, I just really didn't like it. So to be honest, I'm not going to be using it again because I have somewhere to go today and I don't want to look like a hot mess. But I didn't mind the cocoa so much. I used that to contour. It looked okay. So I'm gonna try that today, and hopefully I don't regret it. But if I do, I do have another dark concealer that I love to use for contour. So I'm just gonna go in. I do remember this did blend in really nice though. I find that cream contours can be a little bit difficult to work with sometimes, just because it's really easy to kind of spread that everywhere. So I do appreciate how easy this is to blend, and you don't really need to like keep working it in, because that way it's gonna start to move everywhere. So I do like that. baby hairs are on fleek today. To be honest, I'm looking at this and in the camera it looks pretty much amazing, but in real life I will say that it looks very red because the contour color is very red on its own, and then the foundation itself is very red, so I just look very dark and red. And I was thinking about maybe applying another cream contour that's a little bit more orangey and bronzy, but I'm a little afraid that that might be a little too much going on. So instead I'm just gonna see if I can normalize this with concealer. So I'm just going in with my favorite. This is the Colourpop No Filter Concealer in medium 28. I pretty much use this in every video, but I love this color. It's a little bit more peachy, so I think it'll, you know, kind of brighten things up. And then if I need to brighten it up a little bit more, I also have another concealer that I can use to really lighten it up. So anyway, I'm just gonna go in with this. And I like to, when I'm doing cream contour, I like to kind of do the darker contour first, and then I'll go in with the highlighting contour, just because I feel like it's really easy to get the darkness kind of everywhere. So this will kind of help you bring it back and kind of lighten up the areas that you really want to lighten up. I'm just gonna go in and make sure that everything is nice and blended. I think that looks really good now. I think I might add a teensy weensy bit of a really bright concealer. So I'm gonna go in with this Flower Beauty Light Illusion Full Coverage Concealer in the color Light. Now this is a very, very light concealer for me. I only like to use a little tiny bit, but I find that this particular concealer looks actually really nice just to brighten up, because even though it's full coverage, it is almost a little bit like translucent. Like, it's not like a really creamy, like heavy concealer. It's very, very lightweight. So I find that it just kind of blends into my other products really nicely, and it doesn't look like overly like light. But I am just going to add a tiny little bit, and I'm only going to do it in like the cheek area. Just a tiny, tiny little bit. I'm not going to take that too far into like this eye socket area. Sometimes that can actually enhance your dark circles. Just bringing it in enough to kind of blend it out, but not concentrating that at all. The way this looks. I really, really, really like this concealer. I think I will purchase a color that's like in my, like a color that I should actually be using for the rest of my concealer. Just whatever is left on this sponge, I'm just going to be spreading that to the other areas that I want brightened, like my nose, a little tiny bit between my brows. I'm just keeping this on my cheekbones, up top. Okay, yeah. Now I feel like everything is really nice and kind of blended and even. I did forget to kind of contour my nose a little bit, so I'm just taking the brush, just whatever's on it. I really don't like to contour my nose because I actually quite like the shape of my nose. However, I do feel like if you don't contour or add any kind of bronzer or anything to your nose at all, I feel like it kind of washes out your nose a little bit. So just for that, just whatever is left on this brush, even if it's barely anything, I'm just taking this, running it on the sides. I'm not really particularly contouring, but just kind of shaping it out. Okay, so let's set this base. So to keep things a little bit more light and luminous, I'm going to be using this e.l.f. setting spray, or setting powder, I'm sorry. It doesn't have an exact name on it, but I think it's like a illuminating under eye setting powder or something like that, and it's in the color Sheer. I'm pretty sure this is the only color available, but this is actually a really nice under eye powder for if you like a little bit more of an luminosity or kind of a satin finish underneath your eyes, especially for those of you who have dry skin. I think this would be really nice. I'm just taking a little bit on this Real Techniques setting brush, just making sure that there's no creases under there, and I'm just gonna apply that right there. And this doesn't have like, you know, shimmer or anything like that. It's quite a subtle luminosity, but oh, actually you can kind of actually see it surprisingly on camera too. Like you can see like how the light's hitting this side versus this side, where it's just a little bit brighter, kind of catches the light a little bit. And I'm just gonna add this to all the areas that I kind of want to set a little bit brighter. And you know what, while we're at it, I'm just gonna do my eyelids as well. Just make sure that there's no creasing. And then to set the contour areas, I'm just going to be using this Wet n Wild contouring palette in the color Carmel Toffee. Grab this contour color. This is a very powdery product, so just, you know, be aware that there's a good amount of like kick up and it kind of flies everywhere. But it does blend really nicely because of that. So I'm just kind of going in with a small little brush. This is the Morphe M437 brush. And I'm just gonna kind of blend it into my hairline and bring back the warmth that I might have lost when I was doing my bright concealer. This looks really nice right now, actually. I'm really happy with this. You want to remember to keep a very light touch on your hand, on your brush I mean. That's going to help you achieve more of a blended look. Applying just the tiniest little bit on my forehead. I think I'm going to also take the yellow in this palette and use that right underneath my eyes, kind of in that area where we put the e.l.f. product, just on my cheek. I don't like a ton of powder right here, but I don't mind it so much around my nose. That's an area most people get kind of oily as well, so. Just gonna brighten in all the areas that I want a little bit more brightness on, obviously. So to make this look even more affordable, I'm gonna kind of use products in ways that they're not necessarily intended to. So I'm actually gonna be just grabbing the same contour color from that Wet n Wild palette, and like all of my brushes are dirty right now too, so I'm just gonna be grabbing this clean one that I found. This is a Luxie 249. I actually really love this brush. I got it in an Ipsy bag a while ago, but it still ended, and this end is so nice for like shimmery colors, or if you're trying to do like a halo eye or anything that you really need like precision in the corner. This is really nice for that. And then it comes with a fluffy side that's just a nice blending brush. So I'm just going to be taking a little bit of this contour color and just kind of running that through my crease over here. Let's get a little closer. Not only does this make your makeup routine much more inexpensive because you're kind of reusing products, so you don't have to buy you know, a million different things, but it also saves you time too. Like, I really love to do this when I'm really rushing out the door, because then I don't have to think about, you know, what palette I'm going to use and what colors I want to use. I already know that this color is gonna work with everything on my face because I've already used it around my face. So this is a really great tip for that. And even on the days where I want to go like full glam and I'm, you know, really taking my time and all of that, and I don't really, you know, I'm not just doing like a drugstore. I even still always kind of want to use bronzers in my crease, even if I'm, you know, doing a different, like a blue eye or a green eye or whatever. Like I just feel like using a bronzer in your crease is really gonna tie everything together and kind of ground your makeup a lot more. So this is a tip that you can use pretty much any makeup look that you'd like. I think I'm gonna actually add a little bit of shimmer and judge this up a little bit. So I'm gonna be going in with this color right over here. Doesn't really have a name, but it's just like a nice terracotta kind of color. I'm just gonna again run this through the crease just a little bit below the bronzer, that way the bronzer still peeks out. And this color and that contour color really look good together too. And I'm bringing the shadow out, kind of out to my eyebrow, like where that ends. And I'm kind of creating like a V shape and just kind of filling that area in a little bit as well. Just keeping a light hand on the brush so you're kind of keeping everything really blown out and blended. I actually really love that color combination. Looks very pretty. Oh, I never even told you. So this is the Comfort Zone palette by Wet n Wild, by the way, that I'm using. And this palette actually has some really unique colors in it too. But now I'm going to be going in with this color right over here, which is like a kind of like a maroonish color, and this one's a little bit deeper than the other two. And this I'm going to keep pretty tight into the crease. And notice that I'm holding my brush quite close to the bristles. And the reason I'm doing that is because with this color, I want it to stay in a precise area. I don't want it to be very blended out. So especially if you don't have, you know, a ton of different brushes to work with, just getting a nice small blending brush like this, where you can kind of blow it out with bigger circles and a looser grip. But then, you know, you can also use the same one to get a little bit more precise. Just hold it closer and the bristles will expand less. So you'll kind of get a more accurate placement there. This, I'm just, like I said, keeping it only really in the crease. You don't want there to be a line of demarcation though, so do kind of blend that out just a little. But I don't want this to be as blown out as the bronzer and the terracotta shade. Just bringing this color a little bit outwards as well. So I felt like it was starting to get a little bit round. And we don't want that. I'm going to be grabbing this pink color right over here. It's really beautiful. It has a little bit of a gold flecks running through it. I'm going to be taking this small packer brush, just loading my brush on with that. And then I'm just going to be spraying it with some setting spray. And I'm just going to pack this on. Just on the inner 2/3 of my lid. I really love this color. It's so like delicate, but it just looks so good. You know, like it just looks like light and airy and beautiful. Just a perfect like rose gold. It does show up a lot more like gold rather than pink on the eye, as you can see, but I really love this color. I'm just kind of like running the end of this, the corner of this brush, and just kind of sweeping that through my crease socket, just like this. Then I'm gonna flip it up, or flip it to the other side again, just using the fluffy side, and running that plum color one more time just into my crease, just to blend the shimmer color and deepen out the outside edge just a little bit. Now you can leave it like this, or you can deepen it up a little bit more. You can also use like this color would look really beautiful on the edge as well, but I think for today I want to keep it a little bit lighter. But I am going to be grabbing this deeper color a little bit more and just deepening up the outside edge right here. So for my lower lash line, I'm going to be using a very tiny brush like this one. This one is the Morphe E36 brush. And I'm going to be first dipping in to this color right over here. Start on the outside edge and connect this top half to the bottom. And bring that in most of the way in. I'm not going to bring in all the way because I don't want to close off my eye too much. But just a little bit. I'm just going to build that up until I like the intensity. And then I'm going to be taking a tiny little fluffy brush. I love this brush. It's one of my favorite for the under eye. This is the M506 by Morphe. This is an amazing brush to kind of diffuse the lower lash line, but also just for precision crease work if you want to keep something really precisely in like the crease or whatever. I love this brush. I highly recommend it. But anyway, I'm going to be going into this terracotta shade and going right underneath where I put that plum shade and just diffusing that out. Honestly, this brush makes it so easy. I love it. Next, I'm going to be going in with this beautiful cream shimmer shade and reapplying that on the inner corners of my eye. Blending that into the shimmer shade we added on the lid. This color, for somebody who has like my skin tone or even a little bit deeper or maybe just a little bit lighter as well, this cream color is amazing for the inner corner and also for the brow bone, because it's not like a starch white. It's you know, quite a bit like yellowy creamy color, so it just looks really beautiful on deeper complexions. Alrighty, so I just added a little bit underneath my brow bone as well, and then in my inner corners. I'm gonna jump back into my face. I know I kind of apply products in a really weird order because I kind of go back and forth from my eyes to my face and all of that, but I just like to do my eyes before I do my blush, because I find that that's the easiest way for me to make everything look cohesive and pick out a blush color that's going to really go with my eyes. But I also like to bronze up my face because I feel like that's what really frames your face and, you know, gives you a little bit of direction of like how dark to make your eyes, or, you know, just kind of like helps you guide yourself a little bit better when you do that. So personal preference, but that's just what I like to do. I am going to add just a little bit more of a bronzer, but I want to add something a little bit more luminous, just because I find that it's looking a little bit matte and I kind of like a more dewy look, especially with my eyes being a little bit glittery. So I'm going to go with my favorite bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the color Deep Bronze. And I'm going to be using the Real Techniques blush brush for this. I actually think that they renamed this brush, so now it's like a blush and bronzer brush, which I would totally agree. I really like this brush for blonde. I really like this brush for blush as well, but I actually have two of them. So one I use for bronzer and one I use for blush. But it depends on the type of blush application that I want. You know, depending on the color, sometimes I like this because it's more diffused, and even for bronzer sometimes I use more of a packed brush, but sometimes I use this. Like if I'm, like for instance today, I've already deepened up my complexion as much as I want. However, I just want like a little wash of luminosity, you know? So I'm gonna use something like this that's a little bit fluffier, that's gonna kind of spread the pigment around more versus really pack on the color. So that's why I'm using a brush like this, but otherwise if you wanted to pack on a lot of bronzer with a lot of pigmentation, I would use much more of a dense brush. But anyway, I'm going to be going in with Mellow Wine by Wet n Wild. It looks like this, just like a nice mauve-y, nice blush color. So when I'm not using the Real Techniques blush brush, I'll be using this one. This is the Morphe M530 brush. So I'm just going to be applying a little bit of this, or maybe a lot of it, onto my cheekbones here. Just kind of keeping a very light hand and blending out the edges here. I personally kind of like to bring my blush just a little bit this way as well, and then on top of my nose. I find that's the most natural, because if you notice, like when you're in the sun and let's say you get like a little bit sunburnt or whatever, like it's always kind of like right here, you know, that you really get that. So naturally I feel like that's where most people will kind of get red. So I think it looks really beautiful when you bring your blush. Plus I just feel like it helps you blend out the blush better. You know, I'm blending it out and then I'm just very lightly going over these other areas. And the reason I like to do that is I just feel like it ties everything together, because you already have like the bronzer all over your face. I'm gonna be having a highlight on your face. So I feel like the blush kind of helps warm everything up, blend everything together. It just looks very cohesive and just, you know, nice and blended. That's like very much my style of makeup, is I just like everything to be very like one another, you know, I just like everything to be one. Okay, so for highlighter, I'm really excited about this because I've heard amazing things about it. This is the Wet n Wild highlighter in Precious Petals. I was like so torn between this color, which is like a rose gold with a lot of gold reflex in it, and there was another color, I think it was called Flower Crown something, but it was just like a really beautiful gold color, and I was really debating it. I almost got actually both of them, but I didn't want to get too crazy with it because I just bought like so much makeup. But anyway, I'm really excited to use this. It looks beautiful. I think it's actually going to go really well with this look too, conveniently. So I'm just going to take a little bit because I've heard this is very pigmented. That's really nice. It's like very creamy, so it looks, you know, really like nice on the skin. It doesn't look like dry. Sometimes like some highlighters can look really powdery on the skin. You know what, I'm gonna jump back into the eyes. I know that's probably driving like people crazy that I just go everywhere, but I don't know, that's just how I do it. Because I feel like sometimes it's like I don't really know exactly where I'm going with it, but once I start adding things, I kind of like see like, do I want a wing? Do I want to just add a little bit of eyeliner? Do I just want a tight line? You know, like there's just things that I don't really like think about until I'm like getting to different steps of my makeup. So I think today I'm going to add a very thin wing. Alright, so for eyeliner, I'm going to be using this gel pot. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Gel Eyeliner in the color Blackest Black. And I'm just going to add a little baby wing. Okay, so that wasn't really quite as baby as I wanted it to be, but I'm not mad at it. It doesn't look bad. I feel like the thing with wings is they kind of have like their mind of their own and they just want to do whatever they want to do. So you just have to go with the flow. It's not ginormous, so I'm okay with that. Let's attempt to do the same thing on the other eye. This is the hard part. Okay. So they look somewhat alike, which is all you can really ask for. Okay, so next I just want to spray my face a little bit just to get everything nice and melted into my skin. So for that, I'm going to be using one of my favorites. This is the Milani Make It Last. This is the matte one. I think they have like a couple other new ones now, but I've only really ever used the matte one. Well, it doesn't really say matte, so I don't know, but anyway. Oh my god. Definitely got that in my eye. Don't do that. It doesn't feel good. So while that sets, the only thing about this setting spray I will say is that it really sprays. Like, it's very intense. So just, you have to be kind of like, you know, alert about how much it sprays. Alright, and then to set my eyebrows, I'm going to be using the Essence Make Me Brow. And this just has like tiny little like fibers in it. I don't think you can even see that on camera. No, but this is in the color Browny Brow, I think. Browny Brows, yep. Okay, so now that the setting spray is kind of set, now I'm gonna go in. You don't want to go in when if you're doing it, you know, at the steps that I'm doing it at. You don't want to do it when the setting spray is still wet because it's gonna make everything really intense. It's really hard to kind of go back once you've gone that far. But I'm just gonna kind of reshape them just a little bit like that. So unfortunately I don't really have a mascara from the drugstore that I have on hand that I really like. I do really like this NYX one. This is the Worth the Hype, but it's very dried out and it's just not really that good anymore. So I'm just going to be using my usual, the Urban Decay, but feel free to use any mascara that you love. Okay, so for lips, there's quite a few things that I grabbed. There's this Colourpop matte liquid lipstick in the color Tulle. This is a very beautiful color. So I might wear this one. And then there's this NYX soft matte lip cream in the color Abu Dhabi, which is also a really beautiful nude color. Or there's this Butter Gloss by NYX, and this is the color Tiramisu, which I really love on top of like lip liner. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with the Colourpop today. So for lip liner, I'm gonna be going in with this NYX Slide On Glide On waterproof lip liner. It has a very long name. In the color High Standards. This is not quite as maroony as the actual liquid lipstick is, but it'll do. I used to have a lip liner that was actually just a clear lip liner and you could use it with anything, and I loved it. I think it was by Benefit, and then I don't know what happened to that. Just mysteriously disappeared. I'm kind of bringing that like a little bit inside as well, and I'm just gonna blend this. I personally don't really like when you can see like the lip liner line. but I think it's important to use a lip liner when you're using like liquid lipsticks. Alrighty, you guys, so that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to help support me and my channel. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!